Hi everyone, today we've got Alan as a model. We're gonna try to explain about the haircut here. We need to keep square on the side, shorter point in the back, longer in the front. So we'll give him a little bit more height and looking slimmer. And then we will work very thin on the sideburns. The back will be saving a little bit length, so it's not too short on the back and it's not getting too flat in the back. So we need to concentrate on that length that we have on the back, so not to go too much. Lots of barbers making mistakes, they're going too high with the machine and then it looks too flat in the back. The top line is obviously more important as well. We need to keep shorter in the back and keep the front a little bit longer, as we know our back point is a little bit higher compared to the front. So that way we're gonna create same level to continue cut the back shorter and keep the front longer. We're all gonna taper the back, nice and tapered, keep the line straight, and I will explain that later on why the line should be straight. So we're gonna see how it will be working. I try to explain every point when I'm doing this. Now I'm gonna start with the blade tree. As a first going, we're gonna create first gradually line up to here, but we're not gonna go any higher than that, as we need to save square on the head. So if we're gonna go with the blade tree a little bit too high, we might actually go over the line. So I try to control my line. So I start with the blade tree. So as a blade tree there, we're gonna start picking up and create our first line. As you can see, our first line coming through there. I'm gonna move the chair a little bit, just to easy to see. And I'm continuing all the way, not to go too high, up to save the point that we was looking for. Okay. Now, as we finish with the blade tree, I'm gonna move to the blade one to create the other line that will go slightly lower. We're gonna go on the lower point from the point of the ear, top of the ear, and all the way down. After we finish with the blade one over the side and all the way around, we're gonna move now with the half blade on our sideburns, on our neck, and the other sideburn there. And then obviously we start slowly gradual up with the different guards, 1.5 into the 2 and 2.5, and then we move into the scissors. So I'm gonna start with the half blade now. And just flick out slowly to create the sideburns a little bit thinner. Add a little bit up, as a little bit quarter up. Okay, and now we move to our neckline. Our neckline as well, we just flick out nice and slowly to not create any lines. Just flick out on the way when you finish. We put into the half. I take the guard out, putting the 0. And just clean the neck. Now back to my half again. And have the sideburns to clean up with a half guard. Just add another quarter into it. and give this nice fade on the sideburns. Now after we finish all that, so we can see that the neck is getting now nice and faded, I will go through to the detailer now that create the straight lines, create the sideburns the way we need onto the shape of his face. Obviously we need to slightly slimmer, that it will give him a little bit more slimmer look, and then we create all around the ears into the straight line in the back. Now we've got the straight line on the first way. Why the line is normally have to be straight? When the person is moving the head in all directions, that way or the other way, we always have straight line. It doesn't matter when the client wants to move the head, it always has to be straight. In some point people trying to make the line very narrow down to here, so and then when the person moves the head, it makes more lower. So we move other side, so we're moving down to this side. Now, as you can see, we finished our line, slightly slimmer over the side, slightly slimmer over this side, all the way bring down, as we said, to straight point in the back. All tapered as natural in the back as well, so when the line is growing, it doesn't leave any lines, so we'll be naturally growing back and perfectly bring the other side straight as well, and moving out on the shape of the sideburns that is quite slimmer look from both sides. Now we're gonna slightly graduate our thicker line and move into the blade 3, but not to go above our line. So I'm gonna use the blade 2 and 2.5 and blade 1.5 to kind of fade up my guard line that is quite heavy at the moment. So I start with my blade 2 first. Now, as we finish with the 2.5, we're gonna move now into 1.5, just to take all these little lines that we can see that is not faded enough, okay? This is my 1.5 guard. So as you can see, it slowly starts, gradually goes up, and our line starts disappear. And we move on, where is a still heavy line over the side that we try to clean up with the 1.5 again. I'm literally flicking out my machine when I work on my line, so try to play Now I would like to add a little bit quarter to my 1.5, just to give the a little bit more softer as I kind of go gradually shadow. So we just initially clean up to make sure there's nothing left in our graduation. Yeah, after we finish that, I probably will run a little bit with scissors over comb just to finish up slightly graduation over the side, or maybe even we can do this razor over the comb. Is a way you feel kind of confident, but once you see the little lines, you don't want to skip them. As I can show you here, just a little bit line there that I don't want to skip, and obviously make sure it's all perfect. And I'm very happy with this side, but I'm gonna run just a little bit with the scissors just to keep a perfect line. We need to create kind of straight shape over up, so we're not gonna go too high on this point. Try to finish my graduating down to here. When the hair will be brushed over the side, looking part. So if we brush this down, we're trying to make sure that is all be nice in graduation. So I'm taking very a little off, so initially tips. Now we move to other side. As you can see, there is a slightly need to be cleaned up. So let's move the head up a little bit. Yeah, to finish blending over the side, we start moving into our top hair. So as we said, we're gonna keep a bit longer on the top, but obviously shorter in the back. As we know, if we put the comb on the top of our head, it shows us straight away the lower point and then the high point. So the lower point is, as we know, it has to be shorter here and then longer on the front, because the front is the very lower point and the very high point is the back. So we may have to make opposite, keep front longer. So now we wet the hair to make sure it's all nice and wet. Now, as we can brush the hair down, we can see where we need a little bit trim up to save our square shape. Okay, to save square shape, we obviously have to work we can work in two ways. So the one way, we can keep it angle about 60 degrees, like that, to create our shape and blend it and keep it square. Okay, that's probably the first way. The second way, some people working straight lines. Okay, the straight lines still give us a little bit line that is still afterwards. So I prefer to work with a 60 degrees line. Okay. So now we can see how it starts slowly build up into the height. Looks like initially doesn't take too much of it, but that way we can get the right shape. If I move the head, especially when we start working on this part here, and especially when we start working on all sections down here. So as we said, if we're gonna go too high, will be very flat this part that we need to create around it on the back. So that's where we're going our 60 degrees all the way up. That's what I'm gonna show you there. So we can see there. We're taking very little off, but that helps to create the right shape. We don't need to take too much off. It's more we're going 90 degrees, oh sorry, 60 degrees. It's going up higher, and once we move down to this line, we go into the 125 degrees. So that's our 125 degree, and we move up on the ground. That way we get gradual down again. That's our 60 degrees into the 125 degree. Now, as you can see, we make the shape down here. We slowly have to kind of blend it, this part a little bit. So we go a little bit scissors or comb just to touch up the tips of the hair to make softer look. There we go. It's not too much needs to be done, just a little bit. There you are. So once we're moving to the back, as I said, 125 degrees is to give us shorter on the crown, and we need to move up to get longer in the front. So now as we're coming down to here, I want to concentrate on what I'm taking, because we're just now trying to match up to the back line. So if I move the profile, and we can see the back line is now building up as a volume and not too flat looking in the back. So we're moving up again. So we can brush the hair up to see where we're getting the length. So we initially don't need to take too much on the top. On the front, we need to just concentrate on our back line there when the hair will be blow dried, so we don't have anything to sticks out in these parts. So I try to show the line that I'm talking about. So if anybody can see it, we try to make that level from the front to the back. This is our higher point, and I'm just double check if my lines is perfectly done and I didn't miss anything. Lots of people like to work with the sections, and a lot of people like to do each section, but I think everyone can do the way he prefers, but try to make sure that you're not taking too much, especially in the parts that you need. So now, as we can see, if we leave the comb there, here's the shorter, here's the longer part, and that's what we save the French for. So the front is longer, the back is shorter. To make sure everything is okay, just double check and we make sure everything is perfect. As we finish with the scissors, I like to move into my thinner scissors. So not everybody likes to work with thinner scissors and they think it's not necessary for the barbers. I think thinner scissors is actually lots of help making in the haircuts. So I would love to go with the thinner scissors, slightly gradual. The side, nothing to do on the top at the moment. I will wait until I blow dry my hair and see the style, if I need to thin out a little bit the back over here, because sometimes curls, when they too thick or too strong, the curls very hard to brush out and very hard to manage them. With the thin scissors we can give them a little bit softness that they will be just sits back nicely. So at the moment I'm using thin scissors just to give a little bit softer shape over this side, and then after the blow dry I will check if I need to do any thin scissors, anything to touch in the top of the thin scissors. So I'm moving my thin scissors. Now thin scissors is there, as you all can see, and that's where I start to work with my thin scissors. Just very little on the really tips. It's nothing thinning the hair, it doesn't take any length, it just make sure all my hard lines will be well softer look, a little bit more softer look too. If I move the head down so we can see all that shape, but we still need to slightly soften down the curls. So I'm just nearly around on my tips here. So as you can see, it's build up the length up, and same, we concentrate on this part. Yeah, as you can see, it's nice and soft, looking gradual. All the graduation into the top. And now we're gonna blow dry the hair just to make sure everything went very nice and we didn't miss anything. When we blow drying the front, sometimes we use the brushes that we trying to blow dry perfectly the hair, and they obviously understand the customer will never do this at home. So we need to explain to our client that even with a normal brush he can use to create the style that he is obviously leaving the shop. So try to explain to the client that he can brush the hair all different directions to blow dry when he's blow drying the hair, so to give more straight looking in the end. So if he's gonna be brushing that side, this side, down, and all different directions, so we'll give the hair more straight looking style. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, as we can see our style, that's why we need the length on the front to create the height and to create the level on the back. So if we was keeping everything same length, obviously the back will be more higher compared to the front. That's why we reduce the length in the back. The length that we was talking about, the crown, and there is a crown, we nicely kept the length there, obviously not too much, but it is a bit longer compared to the back point. But that's where it gives nice shape to the style, more perfect style. So if we now, as I was thinking to use the thinner scissors in the back here to make sure that there is no curls or there isn't anything is too thick looking, but to me it's all looking perfect. So we're not gonna use thinner scissors on the back. Sometimes I do use them just to see the curls sometimes here to be too strong, but as I said, his hair is quite nice sitting in the back. We've took the perfect length, so we not need to use the thinner scissors here. So we're gonna use a little bit hair products, and I will definitely use something not too shiny but dry look, so not to make it too greasy hair, but obviously not too soft looking as well. We're gonna shave around the edges, shave the neck, make sure it's all nice and clean to finish our style. Just double check there, that's our back point. I'm gonna shave all the neck and go all the way around with the cut throat. And then finish with the product on the hair. We don't need too much product for his hair, and it sits absolutely perfect. We're just gonna use the product more over the side. And very little on the front, but more we're gonna use the side and the back just to make sure it all sits perfectly, and very little we use on the front. So if we can check again our work, and we see the creation of the square look, so we didn't go above our line. It's all kind of nice and straight, and then it goes straight on the back as well. The back of the hair, as you can see, if you can brush it straight back, you obviously can see it's all gradually goes up, so it's all going direction over there. But then you can create a little bit of style like that. Obviously you can see how it's going up there, but we didn't go over the line, so that's where it shows more square looking. If you look at it profile and we see how it goes straight up there, straight in other direction there. The front is quite high, but it's very low in the back. Thank you very much, Alan.